Hey homeschool friends. So I have just been looking back on my old video from this past fall where I talk about my homeschool schedule for the year. And I'm kind of laughing to myself because things have changed. I mean, not drastically, but I feel like it always changes. And I even waited a good month before I made that video just to be like, okay, this is our solid schedule. This is where we are landing for the year. And it has still changed. And I just thought I would do a quick update video on how our schedule has changed as I'm sitting kind of at the mid-year, halfway through the school year. And so I could just share a bit of where things have settled out for us. So stay tuned for all of those changes. So hi, my name is Angie. Welcome to my channel if you are new here, or welcome back if you have been coming for a while. So like I said, I have made a number of different schedule changes, and honestly it has a lot to do with the fact that my big kids, especially my recently turned 8-year-old and my 6-year-old, are just in really an intense season of learning with all the phonics and reading and math and things like that, that I just wasn't really living in reality when I set the first schedule. So let me dive into kind of what has changed. So what I'm going to do is scoot over a bit, and I'm going to put up a graphic that kind of rolls through our schedule as I talk about it. So I'm going to talk about the schedule, and then I'm going to point out how things have changed or why they've changed. So let's just go through the schedule first, because maybe this is helpful for some of you who are struggling to find places for all the stuff you do. And again, this is very personal to us. There's other things I wish we could do. We just can't quite fit into our schedule at this point. So let's roll with the schedule. So we always start with breakfast around 7:30. That just is our norm. My kids are early risers, and that makes my husband and I early risers. So I get up around 5:30, 6 o'clock every morning. So I have enough time to read my Bible, have a quiet moment, a small moment, and then I can hop in the shower and get ready. And usually I'm out of the shower and all ready for the day by 7. And that is when my kids are allowed out of their rooms, is not until 7. But at that point, everybody kind of gets out and I make breakfast and I get all of that started for the day. And depending on the day, we sometimes do Bible over breakfast. It's not all the time. Sometimes it just really depends, mostly on how organized I am, because sometimes I make the kids their food and then they eat it quite quickly before I can make mine and sit down with them and all this stuff. So a lot of times we try to do Bible at that point in time. And we used to do some scripture memory that came with Sunlight. We've pretty much stopped doing that. Not because I don't like it. I really liked the CD and the songs. My kids really liked it. We just haven't had a good way to fit it in. And honestly, my kids will just kind of listen to the songs and make up dances and things anyway. So sometimes they learn it irregardless of us having a point on our schedule for the memory verses. So breakfast, 7:30, sometimes Bible. Then the next thing that we do is by 8, I need to have started math. So this never used to be a need to until we decided to put the twins into preschool. So I basically have to start math with the 2 big kids by 8 in order to finish up by 9 o'clock to take the twins to preschool. And that first chunk is very math focused. I usually start teaching one child and then get them to the point where they can work on their worksheets and math facts and things. And then I switch to the other child. And as long as I can get my teaching done and the part where I have to kind of read the instructions to them done by 9 o'clock, that works. And if they have any leftover stuff, they put it on a clipboard and they either finish it while I drop off the kids, or they have to put it on a clipboard and take it in the van with us. And for some reason, I've always had math first. It just seems like they handle it pretty well at that time of day. I don't get a lot of pushback, but I honestly have never tried it at any other time than right after breakfast. So one thing that has changed is I used to think that they would have time to do all these chores and stuff between breakfast and starting math, and they really don't. So I am at the point in my chore requirement where as long as they've made their bed, brushed their teeth, gotten dressed, I call it good. And then throughout the day, I ask them to help me with a variety of things, always like toy pickup, but I've just stopped trying to hammer in chores. It just is hard to keep going, and it's a little bit defeating on my part. So I probably need to work on that, but we don't really do chores anymore at this point. So then we do preschool drop off, and preschool is like 2 blocks away. It's fantastic. So it doesn't take us very long. So I I drop off the twins, and at that point, we always do our read aloud. And I love that. We do snack and read aloud. And at this point, we also sometimes do some of our other reading. So this is the point that we will do Bible if we did not do Bible breakfast. It will get done at this snack time. And also, this is another time where we could potentially fit in a little bit of the history or science reading. So that depends. And I'll get back to why that floats. And that has been one of the major changes in our schedule. But at that 9:30 time frame, we do read aloud and we do snack. So that's pretty consistent. And then come to about 10 o'clock, that's when I enter into our language arts section. And so again, this language arts block is for both my big kids. And we have a block of about 10 o'clock to 11:30, basically, when I have to go pick back up the twins. And so it, for the most part, works. And again, we have it set up where I start with one, and then they go do their work, and then I start with the other. And this is probably our biggest chunk because this is our biggest chunk of stuff. I feel like language arts has definitely grown as the kids have gotten a little bit older. This section needed more time. And so that really was the biggest thing that changed in our schedule, because prior to this, I thought that we could do language arts and then science and history reading before picking up the twins, which is just crazy and not very realistic. And so I have just really opened up that full time to language arts with both my kids. And we're talking like all their phonics, reading, handwriting, spelling, and a little bit of light grammar. So we're not even hitting all of the language arts subjects. We don't do a ton of writing, like creative writing, but we're still very much in the teach to read sort of season. So that works for me. So that chunk is our biggest chunk, and that's probably been our biggest change. So since that has been our biggest change, we needed to move science and history somewhere. And this is where I had to accept the fact that I needed to do some school in the afternoon. So you will see next on the schedule is lunch and quiet time. So we always do that, lunch, and then they have about an hour of quiet time, which is fantastic. I've always done that. I highly recommend it. It's a really good practice for me as well as for the kids. But we always do that, and we used to kind of be done. That was it. We were done after quiet time, but now we have to bring in some of our other stuff or not do it. And I just don't want to not do it. I feel like the science and history are my kids' favorite subjects. And we use Sunlight, so it's all reading of books. It's not like a lot of worksheets or anything like that. So it's really fun. And so for the most part, we have to do our science and history reading in the afternoon. And it works out just fine because it's, like I said, it's really fun. The only problem is sometimes the twins are really disruptive, and it just depends on how much we can get done. But we do that. Plus, I think I wrote on there, read out loud. And what I mean by that is this is the second time in our day that my kids read out loud to me, which this is another major change in our schedule, is I really just had not scheduled that previously. But I have learned that it is really helping my kids as they are in the learn to read season, that has been so helpful, especially for my son, who is now probably he is pretty much independently reading, because we had so much structured practice. And the thing is I needed a place for that on my schedule. Otherwise, I would forget it. And so you will notice that in this schedule, I put a lot of times. And I know that could stress some people out. Some people are like, no, you need like a routine, not a schedule. And the thing is I need a schedule more than a routine. And it is a routine loosely in the sense that we always do things kind of in the same order with which the kids know what to expect. And things don't have to be very precise, per se, but they kind of do. We really can't be super late in some of those time frames, or else we won't get what we need to get done, or we'll butt up against preschool pickup or drop off or whatever. And so I do end up using more of a schedule, but it has taken me this many months to really fine tune the amount of time I need to do that well, and do it well in the sense that I'm not hurried. I'm not pushing the kids. I'm not like, we need to go faster, faster, faster. That is the amount of time it takes us. Like, I had to add a lot of extra time to that language arts section, but now it's okay. So I could treat it as more like blocks, like math block, language arts block, but I need the time just because of the twins and the drop off. And so that's really all I have for this update video. Some things have definitely changed, but I wouldn't say we like tossed the whole thing out and started new. By no means. but we have definitely fine-tuned it. And I definitely want to encourage you, if you are struggling with a schedule, is just start fine-tuning it. It will land where it needs to. You just have to be patient with yourself, because it is just so hard to predict. So hard to predict where things are going to go and how things are actually going to work in real life, not just on paper, if that makes sense. So I hope this was helpful. I hope this was a little bit encouraging. And I also hope you got to see kind of how we line out our days. And I would love to hear how you do. How do you set up your day? How do you structure it? I feel like I'm always picking up tips and tricks from you guys that help me out. So please leave some of those below when it comes to like schedule and how do you run your homeschool sort of questions. But otherwise, that's what I have for this video. If you liked it and found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already subscribed, all those things. But otherwise, guys, I will see you in the next homeschool video. Okay, take care.